Hi, this is Ed from Embo Software. In this tutorial, I wanted to give you a brief introduction to some of the basic drawing tools available in Fractal Mapper. Now, you've already seen the Fractal Landmass tool, so let's draw one out real quick. To draw it out, you hold the mouse down and drag out a rectangle and release. And a landmass will be placed using those guide points. Now, you've also seen the Fractal Line, which works in the same way. You click and drag and release, and you get a fractal line within the guide points that you've provided. Now, if you want to get rid of your objects, simply select the pointer tool and click on your object. And then you can either press the delete key or the delete button on the toolbar. The next tool I want to show you is the Fractal Polygon tool, and this is probably more useful. This will let you define better the shape that you're trying to create. What you do is you click, and then click and release, click and release, click, 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 and draw out a general shape. And when you're done, you right-click. And now you can see that it's created a landmass within the general path that I've selected. Now, like the fractal landmass, you can adjust the fractalization level from nothing and all the way up. The Fractal Polyline tool works in the same way. What you do is you click on a start point and then keep clicking a path, and then when you're done, right-click. And it will create a line right along the path that you've selected. You can see the different handles represent the area, the points that you've clicked on. Let's get rid of those. Now, the other fractal tool that you use sometimes is the triangular fractal landmass. And what you do with that is you drag out, you click and hold, and then drag out one side of a triangle. And then release, and then that'll let you draw out a triangle, and then click. And that will create a landmass that uses those 3 points as its bases. This is useful actually for creating island chains. If you keep them, you can see how they kind of cross each other. So they're good for island chains and peninsulas. Now there's also several non-fractal tools because not everything is going to be fractalized. There's a simple rectangle. You just click and drag and release. There's a triangle where you drag out one side and then click to create a triangle. There's also the circle, which you've seen in the previous tutorial. The circle will let you make ovals or just plain circles in a straight line. And again, to get rid of these objects, you just click on them and delete them. There's also what's called the angled rectangle tool. This is good for hallways and various angled shapes. What you do is this works a lot like a triangle. You drag out one side, release the mouse, and then as you move around, you can see that it allows you to create define a width. So click again, and there's your angled rectangle. Now that can also be fractalized. So that's good for cavern passages and paths. There's also a hallway tool that works in a very similar manner. You click and drag out one side of a hallway and release your mouse button, and then you can drag out a width and click again, and there's your hallway. And what makes that different from the angled rectangle is that the different ends are not closed off. So that's good for when you're merging with other objects. Now there's also a spline tool. This will let you define curves. So to do that, this works a lot like the Fractal Polygon and the Fractal Polyline. You click and click and click and click along a path. And then when you're done, right-click. And you can see that created a nice smooth curve. A related object is a closed spline curve, and this will let you create a closed shape from curves. This is good for things like lakes and ponds, but it's also good for topographic maps, elevation markers, and such. Now, we didn't go through all the tools. There's some other ones, some notable ones, including the text and the flood fill and the buildings and the mapping symbols. But those are some of the basics tools that should get you up and mapping right away. We'll catch you in the next tutorial.